Howdy, folks. It is the morning. So, I have just woken up not too long ago to, that's very odd. You see that, I wouldn't call that I guess, is it supposed to be weathering? You see this right here, right? On the bottom here. Because this is a pretty clean UI, so it's weird that, I guess, no, all this has it too, here. Like, the brass bar is, like, weathered slightly. But, let's see. Not many people playing at this early morning hour. But, I will be hopping in. Like, as I said in the title, you know, being that Kiara's in Japan. It is time, to defend, Austria for her until she gets back. Let's see. Actually, can I keep going on assault? What is the... What do I need? Okay, just need to keep leveling up as assault. Is that level 15 assault or level 15 in general? Ah, yes, of course. There's you know, they just kept fighting over it, and still to this day. But let's see. But yeah, as I was saying, I guess you have a morning voice lunchbox right now, as I've only been awake since the Fudatori tweet that Kiara had earlier. But let's see. Alright. Like I said, I'm just kind of vaguely waking up. Ah! Alright, amazing start. Fantastic. Alright. But yeah, as I wake up more, I'm sure, no, yeah, this is, just pretty much, Italy, Austria, Hungary, but then they did do the first DLC did, include, I guess it wasn't a DLC, it was like an update that, added Germany. So, just, Italian, and Austrian mainly for now. Ah! I'm in quite a spot. Ugh. Also, let me, change a little something really quick on OBS. Have to, I've been trying to figure out, chat size. Let's see. Okay, now let me try coming across and changing that to that. I know that's where it gets weird for a second. Let's see. Let's see, how do we troubleshoot this? Because it keeps cropping chat off from the bottom, but I want the top of it to be cropped. But I guess that's good enough for now. But Let's see. Alright, yeah. But, giving people hot EU streams. Because Kiara is not. Well, she might. We actually don't know what time she'll be streaming in Japan. Is she just going to try to go more for Japan night? So, like, her normal hours? Or is she going to go for more... because, like, I don't really know what time the Japanese girls mainly stream. So, like, for all I know, they stream at, like, the middle of the day for them. Which isn't the best for, EST and whatnot. So... trying to figure that out. We'll, I guess time will tell. We won't even know immediately because she, like, so far, sorry, teammate. The council collabs, that have been, going on, like the council off collab stuff, those have been pretty early for EST. Those have been at like 5 a.m. So I'm hoping Kiara's streams are a little bit later than that. But let's see, I need to get, kill some my, Styre. But, yeah, so the, as far as we know, the next thing should be the sponsored song cover. And then after that, potentially a New Year's stream on her channel, like a New Year's Eve stream. And then, and then, the concert thing, like the New Year's Eve concert, where I think Myth minus Ina is doing Animal. And then, probably a super chat reading on the probably the first. So we're in a spooky time of limbo right now. Will she meet up with Rene and Councilress today or tomorrow? Probably not. I would assume, but maybe. Who knows? I know she mentioned before she wants to go to Comiket, which I think is today or tomorrow. Well, like, yeah, I guess tomorrow, because it's night in Japan right now. So I figure that's what she'll be busy doing that for the next day or two. And then after that, we'll just get back to figuring things out. Now, the one thing I'm wondering, is will there be schedules during these coming weeks? Or will it just be, like, all guerrilla all the time? As seems to be the case with the, council girls. So yeah, like I said, we just kind of have to wait and see, and hope we know what's basically the curse of the JP streams is hoping that you don't wake up to VODs, and or the worst case scenario, you don't wake up to an unarchived karaoke, which I think that's what happened to a lot of people with the first EN like NA off collab, where it was at like 2 a.m. EST. The one with like, who was it? Ame, Ina, Mume, Crony, Fauna. That one happened in like the middle of the night, to where, yeah, like me, myself, I like went to bed and then woke up and was like, oh, I guess an off collab happened. But what's it called? Oh, fun. That guy had a rifle grenade. So yeah, just trying to figure out when to be prepared and what to be prepared for. Yeah, actually, I think I did pretty decent. That how many deaths did I have? Combat is not on this page. Scoreboard deaths. Yeah, I went 21 and 9 there. Progression. Okay, yeah. I need to get more grenade kills, but grenade kills are kind of hard. But yeah, so just trying to figure out what is going on with like off collabs. Like, I mean, Kiara has only, as far as I can remember, Kiara has only done 2 like surprise quote streams like that, which is when she the Pop-Tart stream, because it was just her first meeting up with Gura there, like Gura and Ina, and they did the like, it was like, that was very spontaneous. And then the other one was the Maldives, like, hey, like, what's it called? Like the Maldives, like, hey, we are here stream. So like, and I'd say it's kind of already like too late to do like one of those. The only thing I can imagine is if like she meets up with someone at like 2 p.m. Japan, and is like let's say she goes to Cali's for like they go out for a nice lunch, right? And then after that nice lunch, they're like, hey, we should stream real quick because we're together. So they do like a short stream, or heaven forbid, a Twitter space. I like how this machine gun's there, but I need to get pistol kills, so I'm not using it. Ah! But yeah, I am hoping that we do get some of collabs with members that she's not met before, like from like EN. Cause like while we haven't while we haven't while like what was I saying? We haven't like I know she wants to I can imagine her being like, well, I went to Japan to collab with Japanese senpai, so I'm gonna focus on that. But I would very much like to see if she could, you know, like she met Fauna before, but we didn't get an off collab because, you know, she was busy dancing. And she's never met Mume. Though it would be very nice if during this trip she met Mume and Louis, then she will have met all of Halatori, which is pretty good. Technically, all of Halatori can meet each other this trip. Oh, hey Lex, what is C101? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, that would be, like I said, yeah, I hope she just meets, like she just gets the chance, like, there's so many people there right now, that, like, yeah, like, there's, like, I don't even need streams. I just would, like, you know, I just want her to meet them to get the chance to, like, actually, like, meet the people, you know, that she knows from the internet in person. Uh-oh, 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 oh, God. But yeah, the, like the Kanata, like, karaoke date they're going on, like, yeah, like, that's great. Like, I don't need that to be a stream. Go have fun with Kanata and sing Hello Project songs together. Just hearing about that will be all the content in itself. But yeah, like, stuff like, I really hope she meets up with Rene again. But, like, yeah, like, Fauna, Mume, and Iris, she still hasn't met from EN that are there. So I really hope she gets that chance at some point, because, like, while we know, she plans to stay long, I don't know how long they plan to stay. Oh yeah, that's it. That's, like, I mean, if we can get, like, that's, like, the dream is the, that, like, if we could get, like, the dream Copium stream is Halatori off collab. But, I'd imagine that's gonna be very difficult for scheduling. And we also don't know how long Mume and Rene are gonna be there. but hopefully it's enough for them to actually meet somewhere. And we know she is at least meeting Subaru, because she does want to get that the Subaru like bead thing she made to her. Though I'm not sure if she brought the Reine one, because I don't. It seemed like a little bit ago she seemed to be under the impression that Reine wasn't going to be in Japan. But now Reine is in Japan. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm also wondering if anyone else is going. Like, Gura, I assume not, because like, she's having like her like health issues. So she can't. Oh yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, because then there's the Bali trip. Hopefully coming up soon as well. But yeah, Gara's having her health issues, so I understand her not going. Krona and Ame, I haven't seen any indication that they'll go, but no indication that they won't. But if that is the case, then it would feel very bad for Gura if she is the only one that can't go. But yeah, let's see. Like last time she talked about it, her schedule was like incredibly packed once like the new year starts with like off collabs, it seems. So it seemed like almost like basically almost nightly at the start. So that's definitely going to be interesting to like figure out like who she's going to be doing what with. Because that's a big thing, of course, with collabs, is that Kiara doesn't like just like, hey, let's just hang out collabs. She wants collabs to be like, because, they're actually meeting up, like in a very rare IRL case. She would like, she'd like them to be like, special. Oh. Let's see. Let's see. Oh no, game crashed. But I was simply too strong for the Alps. They couldn't handle me. Let's see. But yeah, what was I gonna say? the I was on a point. Oh yeah, she's not the biggest fan of just like random like, hey, let's just like hang out and talk collabs, because she wants them to be special, which is good, but also a bit troublesome because she can never find a game that she wants to collab with, because there aren't many. Most games that are just like an easy game that you can get into and like co-op, or like really just get like together with like a small group in, are all like shooters, which she doesn't like. So like, these grenades have such a long fuse on them. I don't know how I'm supposed to get kills with these. I have to get 15 of them. But like like there's obviously gonna be like some fun couch co-op things that they can do. But like, yeah, just like on a normal sense, there's let's see, can I cook the grenade? Yeah, I can. Still, even with cooking, that was a lot of like dwell time on that. Oh, my gun's empty. Alright, let me see. I hear footsteps. Oh, that's my teammate. Let's see. But yeah, so right now it's pretty much just waiting for the I guess the mystery song reservation, whatever that may be. But until then, KFE simply has to live as the other fan bases do, which is a horrible experience. Truly a terror that we are not used to. Not living with, you know, endless Kiara content throughout the day. I don't know how Chumbas and Tacos survive. I wounded a guy there, but didn't kill him. Hopefully, the birthday merch will leave the dreaded state of Ohio someday soon. And if that happens, we could then get, you know, getting some merch will be able to quell the storm of no Kiwawa. Until then, I have Ophi, and Ophi will fill my void. Let's see. Do I have a grenade box anywhere? I do not see one. Oh. But the like in my meantime, I've been watching the X-Files during Kiara's light December. Which has oh yeah, I have I love the gifted membership things. I know people were like at first like spooked by it, but I've been riding on Pomu's membership gifted for like 4 months now. Don't shoot me, don't shoot me, don't shoot me, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. Don't shoot him, don't shoot him. Oh my god, the dwell time on these grenades. Oh, hello, Falk. But yeah, like, and but as I was saying, yeah, like I was starting with I've been spending my EU hours mainly watching X-Files, and it sure is an experience, as it's really great until that is a lot of guys coming. And I hear a lot of footsteps around me, but the like I love like spooks and specters, you know, little ghouls and goblins and little critters. So like, yeah, like show about the FBI investigating like paranormal alien encounters, like fantastic. I'm all for that. Yes, grenade kill. Only 14 more of those. But really, what really sells the X-Files is the chemistry between the cast. David Duchovny as Mulder and then Gillian Anderson as Scully are so good as like a pair together. That it's like you just want to watch them like just like go around and just solve mysteries. So when David Duchovny leaves the show after season 7 and is replaced by Robert Patrick, which is actually a very funny. He was specifically, which everyone knows Robert Patrick as the T-1000 from Terminator 2. Which is funny because he was specifically cast. He was specifically cast because they were like the kids. They love Terminator 2, so we're gonna get Robert Patrick in this, and people will watch the show now because of that. It turns out they did not. It didn't really do much for the ratings. But like it's in this weird like right now I'm at like a very weird point in the series where it's like the the X-Files is very 90s, you know? But the last 2 seasons are in the 2000s. So it's definitely like a different vibe. Come on. Ah, just wounded there. The fuse on these grenades. But yeah, like, so like the thing is that like at the end of season 7, Mulder gets like he's not like with like everyone else for like season 8 and 9. He's like on his own like journey that we don't really see, and like the subplot of season 8 is like trying to find him. Yeah, there are some really good episodes so far in season 8. Most of the the way X-Files works is there's 2 types of episodes. There are the myth arc episodes, they're called, which is like just at the time, because like the idea of like, oh, having like overarching lore in your show, was like weird at the time. So it's like there's, I guess like nowadays we just call them as like, we'd call them myth arc episodes, normal episodes, and then there's the monster of the week episodes, which are just kind of filler, which is like just kind of like, so it's like the, you know, the main show, there's like an overarching plot about like government like cover up of like an alien invasion and whatnot. And the investigation into that. But the like majority of the episodes are like a man got killed by a living alligator. Well, I mean, most alligators are alive. But like, you know, like a guy went into a taxidermy shop and then the animals came alive and ate him. How'd that happen? And, you know, it's like, turns out, you know, it was the alligator's ghost, you know, and like that's like, and then that's the end of the episode. And the show is specifically set up to where there is this overarching plot, but then these in between episodes could then be easily syndicated. Oh wait, no, I don't want to be Italy. Oh wait, no, hold on. Oh wait, no, yeah, because this is Germany and Italy. There's no Austrian team right now. Let's see actually. And that means I can use the Luger. Look at this nice turn-of-the-century German man with his goggles. Actually, let me see. Do I have I unlocked anything? Yeah, look at that. Get these glasses on. What can I do hat-wise? This is fantastic. This is a nice German man, circa 1914. Alright. Let's see. But, oh. That's not good. Yeah, this is the peak of fashion right here. But yeah, so the show is kind of set up to where you can have your standard episodes, that like keep the audience engaged over time. But then there's also the standalone episodes that exist, you know, for syndication and whatnot. And in season 8, a lot of those syndication episodes, not the best. They miss that charm. The plot episodes are good. But the syndication ones are a little. There is some very good ones though. One that apparently people didn't really like when it first aired, but I liked it a lot, is like there's like an acidic amoeba. Alright, come on. Oh wait, no, I don't have. Why is my grenade not throwing? Weird. Unless, oh no, I didn't put grenades on the German assaulter yet. And yeah, people apparently did not like that episode. They said it was like a 70s like monster thriller. Kind of like a Jaws kind of thing almost. But I loved it because it was like a 70s monster thriller. But yeah, like a lot of them are just oh, I have a trench knife as well. Though I need to get those grenade kills. Because the best X-Files episodes are when, like, I don't even know how many people just died in that trench. Is when you, the audience member, also don't really know what's going on, but then you slowly start to find out with the main characters. Like, I know that, like, suspense works with this, like, you know what's going on, but the characters don't. But it's hard to get, like, suspense when, you're watching, like, an episodic television series, that you know, the main characters probably aren't gonna die. So, it's better, to make up for suspense in that case with mystery. So the best episodes are the ones where you're like, what is going on? And then they figure out and you're like, oh, that's what was going on. Gotta reload my Luger. It's so hard to get grenade kills in this, because trying to find an opportunity where it's like, I need to get 15 of them. I guess if I just go to A and just lob them into A. Alright, nice. Just the right amount of ammo missed. I was actually doing some interesting reading regarding the Luger recently. Due to the fact that, so I have a 9mm handgun. I have a Taurus PT99, one of the earlier. The Taurus kind of has a bad name in the gun industry, for being bad. But they used to be, yes, grenade kill. Instead of bad, they used to be okay. Because Taurus never really designed things on their own in the past. They do now. And some of those things people really don't like. Oh, hello, Moondog. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's the magic of uh-oh. Okay, yeah. But yeah, the so like I was saying, I have a Taurus PT99. Now, what Taurus's big thing is that they're Brazilian, right? So they would contract with other companies to produce guns at their factory, which they would then sell to where the other companies would give them like tooling, like machines. You know, like when you have a revolver, like when you have like a gun, right? You need to have a machine that makes the gun barrel, right? So there is a machine that is set up in a specific configuration that, like, when you pull the lever, right, it cuts the specific rifling in the specific barrel that you are trying to make, you know? So it's a repeatable process. The collection of these machines is called tooling. So, for example, if you have the tooling for a 1911, then that means you have all of the machines that are required to do like an assembly line production of a 1911. So Beretta, and this is Taurus's thing. Taurus didn't really make their own guns. Taurus would purchase tooling and license the guns from hey, grenade kill. Didn't have time for my gas mask though. Taurus would purchase the tooling and license the designs from American and European companies. Mainly Smith & Wesson and Beretta. Now this was done mainly in the 70s and 80s when the tooling was like new, right? So if you got Taurus revolvers from the 70s or 80s, it was pretty much just a slightly modified Smith & Wesson, but just made by a Brazilian person. But pretty much built on Smith & Wesson tooling. And then there are the other guns, the ones called the like the PT-92, is basically a slightly different Beretta 92, just with like I said, just made in Brazil, with some slightly different ergonomic changes. Because when they first started, so the Beretta, when it first came out, the safety was on the frame. But when they then almost the Beretta comes out, the safety's on the frame. They then sell the tooling to Brazil, and then like within a year of that, the safety gets moved to the slide. But the Brazilians never made that move. So the Brazilian guns are still kind of in the pattern of the 1970s Berettas. But the Brazilian guns have made their own changes since then, so it's not one-to-one. But the, so basically, yeah, I had, well, since then, the tooling kind of ran, tooling doesn't last forever, you know? It wears down. So as it wears down, you eventually have to replace it. And they replaced their tooling in like Taurus replaced their tooling in like the late 90s, and there's a noticeable drop in quality. There's a noticeable drop in quality when they did that. You can even see, like, if you look at like my gun has like nice crisp like slide serrations. It's got nice bluing. It's got nice the old 0815 coming through. It's got, you know, it's just like a nice pistol. Like, you hold it and you're like, this company is known for making bad pistols? Like, this is just a nice gun. But then if you hold a PT 92 or 99, the difference being the 92 has fixed sights, the 99 has adjustable sights. If you hold a PT 92 or 99 made from like now, it's like gonna have like very chunky, blocky slide serrations. That are like that, like, and like the slide is like just like military Parkerized. It's not like a nice blue, so they definitely fell off in that regard. Come on. Yeah. Hopefully that grenade. No, yeah, they're gonna run away from that unless. Yes, got him. But yeah, though Taurus recently did just come out with a new revolver, that seems like amazing, and based on all reports, it apparently is. It is the 856, which they. There's a whole thing of like revolver frame sizes, right? I've talked about this before, where it's like the two main frame sizes you can carry a revolver with, right? From Smith & there's basically like three sizes, right, that are good for like concealed carry. The J frame, which is like a 5-shot 38 special. The Colt D frame, which is a 6-shot 38 special, but it is just getting them in there. Like, it is getting them, and a J frame will weigh like 19 ounces, maybe like 20. A Colt D frame, like I said, is really just fitting them in there. Like, you literally cannot make it any smaller and still hold 6 shots. That's like the Colt Detective Special. These are and I don't think you can make a 357 D frame. Like, if you make a D frame in 357, it has to be 5 shots, because it needs more material around the barrel. So that's like a weakness of the D frame, is that like a J frame versus a D frame. If we're talking 38, the D frame is better because it only weighs like 2 ounces more, but it holds one more shot. If we're talking, well, that's talking 38. Talking 357, the J frame is a little better because the J frame and the D frame, in that case, both hold 5 shots of 357, but the D frame holds, it just weighs more. Now a K frame will hold 6 shots of both, but it's much heavier. Like, we're talking like 30 ounces. The D frame will get around like maybe 24, 25 ounces. But Colts have very weird controls. They're very non-modern, like, ergonomically. You have to, like, a Smith & Wesson revolver opens by, like, there's just, like, a button, and you just, like, push the button with your thumb, and then the gun opens. Colts have, like, a latch that you have to, like, pull back with your thumb, and then, like, swing open the cylinder. It's a very ergonomic, it's a very, like, non-ergonomic thing. It's very, like, it feels very, like you do it, and you're like, oh, this design is from 1889. Because it is. Smith & Wesson's design is from 1896, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels very modern. It's like a sliding latch you push forward. Ruger just straight up has a button. On Ruger revolvers, there's just straight up a button that you press and the cylinder opens. Taurus has just come out with what seems to be the perfect revolver for just like, if you're just like, I would like a revolver to just have a nice little revolver, you know, carry it in a holster, but maybe also conceal it. And I've discussed before in the episode, I always call my streams episodes, in the episode where, oh my god, where I discussed the history and development of FBI firearms. That the FBI kind of determined the best revolver to really have is a 6-shot, 3-inch barrel, 357 or 38 plus P, which is a 38 plus P is basically just very strong 38 special without making it into 357. So yeah, 6 shots of 38 plus P in a 3-inch barrel is what the FBI was like, that's a pretty good revolver. You can do pretty much anything with that except for like walk around in Alaska in bear country. If you're going to bear country, maybe get a 44 Magnum at least. Well, not maybe. Definitely get at least a 44 Magnum if you're in bear country. But you might want something stronger. You might need like a 454 Casull. Yep. Or perhaps even like a 500 Smith & Wesson. Anyway, that, and the thing about these Taurus revolvers, what makes them so amazing, is that they're apparently of, like, decent quality. There's nothing really wrong with them. Like, you get it, and you're like, you know, it's no frills. There's nothing fancy about it, but at the same time, there's nothing bad. Like, you're like, this feels like it oughta, you know? There's not much missing here. And they're very cheap. They're like, if you want to go buy a Ruger or a Smith & Wesson, it'll cost you like, I held on to that for too long. It'll cost you like, a Ruger will cost you like, for like just kind of like a do everything Ruger, not just like a very lightweight snub nose. It'll cost you like maybe like $600, a Smith & Wesson like $800, and a Colt like $1,000. Now those prices don't really, let's see, 15. Those prices do not exactly, that doesn't mean that they're exactly in line with quality, you know? The Taurus you can find for like $350. So does that mean the Taurus is 1/3 the quality of the Colts? Not really. From what I understand, I've yet to see it in person, but my friend does have one. And I really want one. I'm not really a fan of modern guns. But what I do like about this Taurus is that it is a modern gun that is filling a niche of an older gun. Like I said, that older, what the FBI kind of determined to be the, kind of like the best, like, oh yeah, this is a nice revolver to carry. But anyway, I began that tangent so I could talk about the fact that I own a Taurus. And an interesting little discussion development I've come across, which is, what is the min-max best barrel length for 9mm? And how do we look at that and determine that? You know, I don't know much about the German language. Quick little side tangent from a thing I just noticed in the game. But, I'm noticing that when these German soldiers advance in this game, when they attack, they say, "Los, los, los," which is the song, the theme, of Yojo Senkai. Which I'm sure, to German-speaking people, probably means something. But to me, I don't know. Some nice hip fire. But yeah, as continuing my tangent. So, let's discuss the history of... Oh, okay. Thank you, Falk, for the translation. And that makes sense. Let's discuss the history and the employment of the 9mm Parabellum in specific barrel lengths. We have to discuss 9mm, the ubiquitous handgun cartridge of the 21st century. We must go back to the 1890s and see, actually, pretty much the beginning of semi-automatic pistols. So, okay, this is how you know it's a lunchbox tangent, because I say, okay, well, so if you were today going to buy a Glock, they sell Glocks in a couple different barrel lengths. What barrel length do you want? And my answer to that begins with, well, let's go back and discuss the history of the start of semi-automatic handguns. That's how you know it's a lunchbox fueled topic. As I've discussed before with regards to rifles, I do not know what is happening in the Alps. But, or what it is exactly about the German language. But, something about Alpine nations, or just the German language in general, fueled arms design of the, like, late 1800s to early 20th century. In everything but, like, revolvers. Well, I say that, yeah, actually, no, Belgians were actually really good with revolvers. Americans built strong revolvers. Look at that. Look at that guy who's going to town with the 0815. Americans built strong revolvers. Belgians built, efficient revolvers. I guess, what are Americans good at? I guess we're good at shotguns. We're good at shotguns and, lever action rifles. Which are really kind of... Oh, I was about to say, they're good for, oh, they're, like, lever actions are really mainly good for America, but they're, I could imagine in, forested, there are like things like in like Germanic hunting tradition, guns called like Schützen rifles and Jäger rifles, which are like short hunting carbines. And the woods of the United States East Coast is actually not much different from the woods of Germany. These early Jaeger pattern muskets and like muzzle-loading rifles were what were actually used by early German colonists in America, and were the pattern was kind of copied for Pennsylvania rifles, just lengthened because you know, while like New York and New Jersey are very wooded, once you get out into Pennsylvania or whatnot, you really go from the equivalent of like the Black Forest to just like big, like long plains. But you can see, like I said, as we know from the Pennsylvania Dutch, a lot of German immigrants emigrated to Pennsylvania, and they brought their guns with them. So this, but now that they were in these big fields of Pennsylvania, they just extended the rifles. So Pennsylvania rifles are very, they're directly descendants of German Jaeger rifles. But anyway, so, like I was saying, the Germanic, nations... Oh my god. There's a shooting gallery in here. Went hard on semi-automatic pistols in the 1890s. Because there is a gun that an Austrian guy made. I can't remember the name of it. It's called like the it's something with an S. It's like the Soljathorn or something. It's something weird that's not really worth discussing much. But he made a gun, and he was like, hey, look, this gun, when you pull the trigger, it ejects the cartridge, and then, you know, you pull the trigger again, and it just shoots again. And it's not very efficient, and it doesn't really work, like, in, like, most situations. But the idea is kind of cool, right? So then you had a guy who... The nationalities are going to be a little weird here. Because despite the fact that these are three different countries, there is a lot of crossover between, at this time, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland they'd all be doing their own thing militarily wise. But each of these companies, basically, what happens in this era is if you have a good idea and you speak German, you will try to sell your good idea to any country that will buy it. And because you are from a German-speaking country, that means you are going to, no matter what country you are from, you are going to attempt to sell it to Austria, Germany, well, Austria-Hungary, Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. So because of this, I forget the nationality of these people. Oh my god, I almost just took like a Minecraft pickaxe to the chest. I forget the nationality of these people. Some of these people might be Austrian, and I'll call them German. Some of them might be German, and I'll call them Swiss. Some of them might be Swiss, and I'll call them Austrian. Stuff like that. Because like I said, they didn't really care what country they were from. They cared about which countries were going to pay them for their guns. So basically, at the start of the 1890s, there's a guy named Hugo Borchardt, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. And he makes an action. Oh my god. He makes an action called the toggle link action. Now, a toggle link action has been used before. It's a very popular action of the late 1800s. The Winchester rifles are actually, well, the Henry rifle and then the Winchester models 66, 73, and 76 all use toggle link actions like a Luger. Because the way a toggle link works is like, imagine it as like, you see it on the top of the gun there, like that thing that's like flicking. Imagine it as if, you know, like your knee or like your arm. When your knee or arm is sticking straight out, that is when it's at like its strongest. You know, when the arm is straight so that the weight is distributed straight down into your elbow. But if you bend your elbow a little bit, it's much easier to make your arm like collapse in, you know? Like imagine like a full extend, like imagine trying to hold a push-up at like full extension, you know, like just like arms fully pressed out and you're just sitting there, versus stopping a push-up halfway in between, and trying to hold from there. Basically, a toggle link works kind of like a push-up, to where it's like, you need, so 9mm is a type of cartridge that has enough power in it that, you need something to hold the slide back long enough for all of the gas to exit the barrel, and then the slide opens. Because if you didn't do that, the slide would come flying back, damage the gun, you lose velocity, gas would spray out the back. There are cartridges under 9mm can do this. 9x18 Makarov. The 9mm, well, 380 ACP, or 9x17, as it's called in Europe, 32 ACP, all those things. They are all perfectly acceptable to work in blowback actions, where it's just only the weight of the slide and the spring of the slide is holding it together. But anything more than that, which is pretty much 9mm, needs an action. Like, it needs something to hold this stuff together. Nowadays, almost every gun, nowadays, almost every pistol uses a Browning tilting action that is originally from the 1911, but then was modified for the Browning high power, and pretty much everything just uses the Browning high power, the Browning high power, like, system, except for, like, Berettas. Berettas use the system from the P38. But anyway, and we'll hear about the P38 again, when I get to that. But anyway, continuing. The early, well, the way that the Luger works, right, is like your arm, well, the Borchardt is your arm, like that arm on top of the gun, the link, bends at the knee. And you can see on the back of the gun, there's like, actually you might not have been able to see it because my model's in the way. But you can see there's a bit of a little curve, like a little ramp almost. And what that ramp does, what that ramp does is like, yeah, I'm actually going to grab some water, really quick. So let me walk over and grab a water bottle. The you can hear my my New Jersey accent saying Wooder there. I'm also stretching. Ugh. But so that little ramp on the back of the Luger, the other classic New Jersey accent things like, oh yeah, you know, when you go up to, you gotta get your socks, so you go up to the dresser and you open up the drawer, you know, the dresser drawer, J-O-R, or, you know, when you get your pen, and you gotta go draw a picture, you know, D-R-A-L-L, so there's a little ramp on the back of the toggle. What is going on here? Why can't I walk up this? That was weird. And what happens here is it's very crazy. This is how it works in the Beauchart. Is that, and on the Luger. Where did that shock just come from? That sounded like an Italian man. There he is. Ah! Is that when you pull the trigger, the entire slide goes backwards. It then hits a point where it stops. At this, like, because it reaches the end of its travel. The bullet at this point leaves the barrel. But right at that same time, that little, like, ramp hits the big, like, joint that you can see there. Like, the big, like, drum on the like, the swivel. And this causes just enough leverage to bend the knee a bit, which the inertia is then carried into the knee and makes it collapse, right? So it's like I said, like, stick your arm out straight and then, like, try to press your hand into your shoulder, and then like bend your elbow a little bit, and then it comes back and then pushes forward. So it's basically like sticking your hand out, like you're gonna do a push-up, and then bringing the back of your hand into your shoulder and then back out to, like, full push-up position very quickly. That is how a Beauchart works. Now the thing with the Beauchart, the C93, is that it is incredibly unergonomic. It's very weird. It has a big, like, hump on the back of the gun where the recoil spring is. But this is also a place to attach a shoulder stock, because a big selling point of the C93 was the fact that it could be very easily converted to a carbine. Almost like a modern PDW kind of idea. Like, hey, there's a weird picture of, like, a Native American guy with one of these. With, like, a makeshift, like, leather sling he made, just, like, strapped around his chest in, like, 1905. And it's like, where did he get that? Like, that's such a weird gun for him to have, but it's like, it's a pretty, like, it's here, let me see, can I, let me see if I can bring up a picture. In OBS really quick. Like, it might be like, yeah, let me actually just do what do we want to do? What's the, what kind of capture do we want to do here? Let's, I guess we'll do a game capture, and then we'll call the game, this, Chrome, this Chrome, document thing I have right now, or no, it wouldn't be game capture, it would be, let's see, I can probably just do a window capture. let's see. Yeah. Where is it? There it is. Okay, yeah. See that thing? You can see like how this is like one of the most steampunk-looking, insane things you could imagine. But that stock you could take off and use as a pistol, and you can see how it's kind of got the Luger heart in it, but it isn't really a full Luger yet. Now, what happens, is, now this uses a cartridge that is the 763 Beauchart. And the guy who designed this, Beauchart, is like, nah, like, the bullet has to be bottlenose. Like, you look at a rifle round, like, you look at a round that is made for a repeating rifle, and they will be bottlenose, like, shaped like a bottle. Versus what is called a straight wall cartridge. Straight wall cartridges, usually made for, nowadays they're made for pistols and, revolvers and, like, old single-shot rifles and stuff like that. But if you look at anything repeating, anything where there is a mechanical, because you, a person, loading a revolver, you can fit a circle in a circle, right? So if that circle happens to, if you can fit a cylinder in a circle, so if that cylinder happens to be the same diameter as that circle, doesn't really matter much. You just, as a human, can fit a hole in a, you can fit a peg in a hole. Babies can do it, you know? But, when you ask a machine to do that, it's kind of weird. It's a little difficult, actually. They thought. So, at the start, Beauchart is like, this cartridge has to be bottlenose. It has to be shaped like a bottle. Like a beer bottle. Meaning, the base of the cartridge has to be one diameter, but then when you get to the actual lead bullet, it has to, like, shrink down onto the size of the lead. So that the mechanical action can easily shove this peg into the hole. It has some like, geometric assistance, to feed into that. So we get the 763 Beauchart cartridge. Now, this cartridge is only used in this gun, and is not really... Now, this gun doesn't really take off. Only about, like, 3,000 copies sell. But, now, 3,000 copies, not a lot, but enough to make a noise. For people to notice and, like, really be like, oh, wait, this is something important. But, as I was saying, the cartridge, well, the gun didn't really pick up. The cartridge, actually, it turns out, let's see, yeah, I need to be level 15 assault, so just 2 more assault levels. The cartridge ends up being, very influential. Well, I guess the gun's also incredibly influential, but not on its own. The cartridge is getting copied a bunch. It's copied and then loaded, well, it's copied by, there are 3 copies of it. The one, oh, what did I, what came back to you there that, I heard? Well, that I guess said. But, like, the 3 main copies, the first one, well, the first company to then try to, like, kind of make a better C93 is the C96, which is Mauser's attempt. They basically just copy the cartridge, call it the C90, well, the 762 by 65 Mauser. All these cartridges are going to be well, no, it's 765 Mauser like pistol. 7.65 by 25 is the cartridge. All these are going to be 7.6 something by 25. But they basically just take the bullet and just put some more gunpowder in it. Now, come to the 1920s, Russia would do the same thing and put even more gunpowder in it, to get the 7.62 Tokarev. But the main cartridge derivative we are worried about today is the 7.63 Luger. Which, what that is Hugo Boschart had an assistant, a guy who worked with him, Georg Luger. Now, Georg Luger, was a German man who basically was like, well, a big thing with Boschart is that Boschart was convinced that no updates needed to be made on his gun. He was like, it's perfectly fine. It literally could not be better. He was convinced. Luger makes the gun better. He gives it a more ergonomic grip. He fixes some spring placements and stuff like that to really just kind of make it better to use. Oh my god. That guy had like a horn. But hey, another grenade kill. But so what happens is the so this first Luger is gonna be a 6-inch barrel in 7.62 by or 7.63 by 25. I actually like to get my shovel instead of put my gas mask on. So what, cause this cartridge relies a lot on velocity. These like 30 caliber pistol cartridges, their entire thing is that they go very fast. Kind of like 5.7 today. So in order to get that velocity, they need longer barrels. They need like a 6-inch barrel. That is why, if you look at stuff like, today, the 5.7, there is no, like, you think, like, today, like I was saying, how this whole conversation started is getting to why 9mm barrels are the length that they are, these days. The so like there's a lot of like, what is the best like barrel length for 9mm really? Is it like a 3.5 inch? Is that enough? Is it a 4-inch? Is it 5? You know, like stuff like that kind of goes back and forth. But like with a 5.7, it's like, oh no, yeah, 5.7, don't go under 5 inches. You will not have enough velocity to have it like run correctly, because it's a cartridge like that that really works on performance of speed, as all these 30 caliber cartridges do. So those all have to have like 5 or 6 inch barrels. So Switzerland gets this. The first Luger is the Swiss Luger. And as I said, that is a the Swiss Luger is a 7.63 by 25. And it come on. Alright, nice. It's got kind of a wide grip, because it has to have, like, you gotta think, the mag well has to be at least 25 millimeters front to back to be able to accommodate your grip. And that's just the case length, that's not counting the cartridge head. So what happens is, and the Swiss Luger, pretty good Luger. Like, Swiss Luger, maybe the best gun. If it was the year 1900 and you needed a handgun, the Swiss Luger might be the best option. But the German army is like, alright, let's discuss this a bit. We want a new pistol, because at this time, Germany is using a very, very bad revolver. They adopted a single-action gate-loading revolver that has no ejector rod, when everyone else in Europe was getting, like, double actions, some even top brakes. So Germany also needs a new pistol, like, ASAP. Now, nowadays, there's a very interesting thing about arms procurement of this era that is its own tangent in itself. Nowadays, the militaries across the world pretty much just adopt the same thing. They'll try to keep it similar. Like, the US Army technically uses HK-416s, which are an AR, the Marines use a HK-416, which is an AR-15 derivative, but it's still, for the most part, an AR-15. It just has a piston system instead of a direct impingement system, whereas the Army uses a direct impingement system in their M4 carbines. But a lot of parts interchangeability, magazine interchangeability, ammo interchangeability, all that stuff that, you know, like a normal Army does. This is not how it worked 100 years ago, or like before World War I. Before World War I, the Army and the Navy of, like, militaries were basically two separate armed forces that just happen to fly under the same flag. To where you will look at guns from these nations, and you will see, like, oh, the Army used this gun, and then the Navy used this gun, and they're two completely unrelated guns in different ammo. Especially the U.S. Navy's procurement of firearms in the 1880s and 1890s is incredibly bizarre, and very much worth reading about. But that is a tangent for another day. Like, what was I gonna say? So Germany starts, like, doing some pistol trials, right? And they determine that they want a pistol that is 9mm in caliber, and weighing about 125 grams. And now this, but they also figure out the kind of the size that they want it to be, which is to be about 19 millimeters long on the casing. Now, what this ends up doing because they figure out that that's a good ergonomic setup. If you want like that sized bullet fits in your hand pretty well, like when you have a pistol. Like, because like you got to think, you start with a pistol and then you start with a bullet and then you wrap the pistol around that bullet when you're making the grip of the pistol. So having that really kind of fits that. Like that size fits that well. I spawned in barbed wire. Now a problem is this barrel length, not this barrel length, this cartridge, this 9mm cartridge, the way they achieved this was, they took the bottleneck cartridge, that was in the Luger, and then they just unbottlenecked it. It's called blowing out a cartridge. Alright, nice. When you turn a bottleneck into a straight wall. Georg Luger, horrified at this idea. He was like, "Oh my god, the gun's not gonna work." He was like, the whole point of the bottleneck cartridge is so that you're not you're not relying on a machine to shove a square peg into a round hole, you know, like, it's like it's like you have to give some room for the gun to let itself kind of feed its way in, not just shoving it in. But it turns out, he was wrong. You can just do that. You can just give a perfect cylinder and just have the gun just shove the thing in there, and it works. Oh my god, what? What? How did I miss all those shots, and how did he not hit me? But yeah, so that's where 9mm comes from. Is that kind of like debate and design like compromise, which is weird. Like the handgun cartridge of the world was not built up to be a good pistol cartridge. It's a modification of a different cartridge that's a modification of the first handgun cartridge. But it's just kind of been fine-tuned so much that it became kind of perfect. So the first Germany, we know the Luger. The gun I'm holding in the game is the P08 Luger. Now, this is not the first German Luger. The whole thing I was saying about the Navy and the Army, there are 3 Lugers in German service that are all different, and they have names, and in an annoying way, to where the increasing number of the name does not go with the barrel length. The way that these are designated. The first German Luger is the Naval Luger. Now, this is not too dissimilar from the Swiss Luger, in that it still has a 6-inch barrel. And it is still kind of understood to be used as a stocked carbine when need be. Mainly with the idea that the way that the way the U.S. Army works, is like the U.S. Navy, is that you have boats, and those boats have sailors on it. Those sailors are Navy men. They're from the Navy. A subdivision of the Navy is the Marines, who the Marines are not sailors. They are just soldiers that stay on the boats until, okay, now there is land combat. We are gonna, the Marines leave the boat and go fight on land. The sailors stay on the boat. That is how the U.S. Army works. Well, the U.S. Navy. The German Navy in World War I don't know if they still do this, but the German Navy in World War I did not do this. So what the German Navy did, you actually, a good way to see this, Wonder Woman. In Wonder Woman, when Steve Trevor first lands on the beach on Themyscira, and all the Amazons fight the Germans on the beach, those guys are the German Navy, and how they work is that all the sailors they're basically sailors and Marines, to where essentially, instead of having designated guys that are like outfitted to combat, like for example in World War II, the Navy sailors, they never really got many M1 Garands because they didn't really need them, because they're on boats most of the time. The M1 Garands being given to the Navy are given directly to the Marines, because those are the guys that are charging the beaches. The way that Germany kind of worked was, there were just guns on the boat. Like, undesignated guns that just belonged to whoever. And essentially, the ship's captain would then be like, okay, we're doing like a boarding party. Or like, okay, we have to explore this island. So, you guys, I'm gonna take 10 of you. You guys grab rifles and then go explore the island. Or, okay, we're gonna go board a ship. So you guys go take pistols for like this close quarter ship combat we're about to get into. So go do that. Now, so the Navy specifically loves this idea of a little carbine, right? A pistol with a stock on it. Because, like, fighting on, like, a beach, or, like, you gotta think, these guys are going around, this is, like, the early 1900s, so they're, like, thinking, like, I might want to invade a colony in Southeast Asia, where, I might need to go fight in the jungle against some tribesmen, so I don't want a big bolt-action rifle. I'd like a little carbine for that. They, they get these Lugers that now have 6-inch barrels, and they have a very weird thing that is unique to the artillery Luger. You can see the rear sight here, not the artillery. You can see the rear sight here is just like a notch on the what is called the PO4, the naval Luger. It's got like a flip up sight that has two designations. One is a 200-yard sight, and the other one's a 100-yard sight. So it's like, okay, yeah, you can, which that's reasonable. 9mm out of a 6-inch barrel. So again, that's a good time to talk about barrel length. So barrel length gives you two things in a handgun like this. Well, three things. The more time a bullet is in the barrel, the more pressure is built as the more powder is burning, meaning that it will be propelled out of the barrel faster. So, up to a point, 9mm will be gaining FPS as it is in the barrel. Now this plateaus, right? Alright, nice. this plateaus at about 7 to 8 inches, depending on your ammo, right? 8.5 maybe. Meaning that if you have a hey, look at that! Look at me on the left there. Meaning that if you have a 9mm handgun, that has a 3-inch barrel, right? Hey, look at that! Most hipfire kills, most objective kills, longest distance traveled. I'm out there running, folks. And yeah, those hipfire kills. Me walking up with the Luger, just coming at the hip, just wapow. You know, ragagao, just firing 2 shots from the hip. 106 kills. Oh my god. This is what happens when you get me talking about Luger development and when I'm using a Luger. Yeah, was I top? No, another guy on the team 140. But I was the top on the German side. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna do, so the longer, we were thinking mass times acceleration, right? So you want your bullet going faster, no matter what, but faster, to a point to where it doesn't lose. Look at this, I've unlocked a new face. Yeah, we'll go with this one. He has a stronger brow. Josef, I guess his name is. This nice Austrian gentleman. Let's see. I don't think any of these fit this guy. So yeah, we'll just go with that. So let's see also mustaches. Yeah, I still like this one. Yeah, so the barrel length is gonna be 1, it'll give you more velocity. 2, more weight at the end of the barrel just means the gun is heavier at the front, which means that it recoils less. Not much less, but a little bit. I've seen people comically say it's basically the how soft is the recoil on this gun, with a bar graph where at the bottom it says kinda soft and at the top it says very soft. You then line the guns up, and the length of the gun is basically the bar graph telling you how soft the gun shoots. So because yeah, like the shorter of a gun is, the more it's gonna snap in your hand when you're firing it. Not like snap in half, but like pop, like kind of snap, like it'll like make your wrist turn like unpleasantly, as opposed to just like a nice soft little like push. That's how compensators work. Compensators are partially just the weight at the end of the gun, just weighs the gun down. But a longer barrel will do this ever so slightly. Not much, but slightly. I don't know why I'm still using a pistol right now, because I don't need to get pistol kills. And we are in the Alps right now, so I should probably go to my Steyr. Yeah, what's it called? Now, I am not particularly sure why. Well, so the Naval Luger, pretty great. A lot of people really like it. Like, they're rare, they're uncommon, because the Navy didn't buy too many. And the Army needed them more, so, like, once the war started, production, like, kind of went all in on the Army. And also, after World War One, the Germany just went all in on the army version. I'll explain the army version soon, but like they were like, okay, we don't need a separate pistol for the Navy. We'll just give everyone the army one. But a lot of people who like are like, hey, I want, like, I have used every type of Luger. A lot of people agree the Navy one probably the nicest to use. The sight thing could maybe get a little weird if you accidentally flick the sight in like a trench. So you're meaning to shoot a guy from like 15 feet away, but your sight is measured to 200 meters. That could possibly be problematic, but aside from that, probably fine. Now, another thing with barrel length does is there's a thing called sight radius, right? And now what sight radius is that the human eye does a weird thing where you are able to center an object in a, like, you are able to center, if you have like a V shape, right? And then, or let's say you have 3 points, right? The farther, like a triangle, right? You have the 2 base corners and then the top corner of the triangle, right? And then if you were looking between the 2 base corners at the top angle, you know, the taller the height of that triangle, the easier it is, the easier it is to, the higher that triangle is, the easier it is to have your human eye align the front to the middle to make it like video games, you know, in a video game you will always just put the sights correct, you know. Like you can see, oh look, the triangle is in between the 2 tops of the V. That is hard to do in real life, and the higher the higher that triangle is, the what's it called? The easier it is to do that. Meaning, the longer the barrel is, the longer the barrel is, the easier it is to keep that sight stuff aligned so that it becomes more accurate then. So that is why, like, a longer barrel revolver, for example, is going to be more accurate than like a snub-nose revolver. It's not because the barrel makes it any more accurate, it's that the longer sights make it more accurate. To where you will see, like, guys who have, like, 1911s, right? Like, competition 1911s, where they will literally, like, add, sight extensions to where, like, the slide stops, and then there's, like, a rod going off the front of the slide that then has a sight on it, on the end of it. It's very weird. So those all together are the advantages of having a longer barrel. But for some reason that I do not particularly know off the top of my head, because I think they just wanted the Luger to be more of a defensive weapon in the army, in the army's like use. Now having a 4-inch barrel over a 5 or 6-inch barrel is that allows you to have a lighter gun and also a like just an easier to carry gun Um, you're like so because you're taking 2 inches off the barrel, and you are also making the sights fixed. It just makes the gun handier. Now this kind of sets the P08 Luger as having the first Army adopted 9mm having a 4-inch barrel. Now this is where it gets interesting to me and a bit like interesting for modern discussions, right? Where I'll explain how. Well, I'll go cover the artillery Luger then too. Basically, they wanted they also wanted a they needed something to give to artillery, like a carbine. So they create the artillery Luger, is what we Americans call it, but in actual German designation, it was the Langpistole, which Luger 8-inch barrel, because remember 8 inches is where you kind of get the best performance out of a 9mm. And then like rifle style sights on the barrel. So each German Luger each German Luger has different sighting systems, bizarrely. It's a weird thing. All of their rear sights are different depending on what, if you are in the infantry, or if you are in the navy, or if you are in the artillery. All 3 of those Lugers will have different sights depending for what your job is. Now, the, wow, these grenades just have such long, fuse times. Let's see, I'm almost there on that side. Is this a, so this is a, okay, this is probably for, like, anti-armor and stuff. Get the recon thing. I thought this would get the raccoon. But so I guess like the German army just wanted the Luger. I have to do some more reading about it. This is the kind of gun stuff that is kind of like not documented, and it annoys me because it's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, the Luger, it's got a 4-inch barrel, you know, and it's got fixed sights, and it's like, well, it didn't have that, you know, like, when the German army was showed the Luger in the year 1904, it had a 6-inch barrel and adjustable sights, and then when they adopted the Luger, it has a 4-inch barrel and fixed sights, and it's like, why? What did they do to, like, why did they ask it to be like that? There's got to be documentation somewhere, unless it was like destroyed in a war. I'll have to rewatch the CN Arsenal episode on the Luger, to see if I can figure out why. Because surely, if anyone knows, they do. But this kind of sets up the 9mm being used in a 4-inch barrel, which all the way 115 years later, the most common 9mm you're gonna find is a Glock 19, which uses a. And remember what I was saying about remember what I was saying about these Germanic countries really just kind of going hard in on like these Alpine countries going hard in on like semi-automatics, and there's something about the German language or the air in the Alps that just makes these people good at semi-automatics? Well, right now, the main two 9mm you're going to get are going to be either the Swiss P320 with a 4-inch barrel, or well, the P320 compact with a 4-inch barrel, or a Glock 19 with a 4-inch barrel. The Glock 19 being Austrian, and like I said, the P320 being Swiss. So I don't know what's going on there, but for some reason these people really good at semi-automatic pistols. Like I said, at the end of World War I, all those other Lugers, Germany just kind of goes like, don't worry about them. They just kind of, yeah, they just go for like, hey, let's just standardize on just the Army Luger. It's the easiest. We're not really, they have the MP18, so they don't really need a carbine now, like a pistol caliber carbine. So that kind of makes any point of the other two Lugers kind of void, so they just kind of standardize on the PO8. So for the 1920s, the PO8 Luger, if we're talking like a 9mm Luger in standard kind of service, then 4-inch barrels, good to go. It seems pretty set, but then we get an out of nowhere right hook from John Moses Browning, firearms extraordinaire. If there was something going on with Swiss, and the Austrians and the Germans with their handgun development, some of that was whatever mystical source gave all these people handgun development. Somehow, a little bit of it ended up in Utah, and ended up in the mind of a Mormon child who would grow up to become John Moses Browning, who developed like almost like every American gun from like the late early 1900s. But he was developing the Browning High Power, and then he died. So then a Belgian guy finished the Browning High Power for him, and now the Browning High Power is this is something I don't know. I'm not particularly sure why either. I do not know why the Browning High Power is a 9mm Parabellum. It is not a cartridge that the Belgian army was using. It is not a cartridge that the American army was using. It was actually, I don't think it was a cartridge that any army except for Germany was using. Except for like people who were using like MP18s. Like Ethiopia had some, of all countries. So it's a weird thing to try to figure out, unless like he just looked at it and was like, Poland also was using 9mm, I believe, in their pistol that they would adopt around this time, called the Radom, the Viz Radom pistol, the M35, I believe it is. But that is due to their proximity to Germany. There's a thing people do, which is if you are a nation that is in fear of being invaded by another nation, you will just adopt their armaments so that it's easier for you to use captured ammo and stuff. Now, of course, if you get easily taken over, your manufacturing is easily used then to produce this stuff, which is exactly what happened to Poland. I even tweeted about it last night. When Poland was taken over in World War II, all of Poland's like manufacturing was set up to make copies of, well, not copies, but derivatives of German things, so that it would be very easy to use captured German supplies. But Germany immediately, like, destroyed them, and then, like, just used all the captured Polish factories and stuff to just make their own stuff. But, I spawned as a rifleman by accident. So when I die, I gotta switch classes. But anyway, actually, I'll have to check what the barrel length on the Viz Radom is. I think it might be 5 inches or so. But the Browning High Power has a 4.7 inch barrel, and I don't know why. Perhaps it is something with the action? Maybe the action requires a longer barrel to function? In that time with that ammo available at the time? It doesn't now. There are Browning actions that fire with, like, that have like 2-inch barrels. Well, not 2-inch, but like 3-inch barrels that use the Browning the action from the Browning High Power. So I don't know why the Browning High Power has the barrel length it does. It would have been perfectly fine had it had a 4-inch barrel, but it doesn't. It has a 4.7-inch barrel. And this opens a can of worms, which is the barrel lengths of the rest of the 20th century. So as I was saying, by 1918, Germany standardized on 4-inch barrel, 9mm. That's the bee's knees. That's the top of the pops right there. That, like, it literally does not get better. It's the kind of the Goldilocks situation. Immediately, Browning gives us a 4.5-inch barrel. Oh, I didn't change classes when I respawned. Browning gives us a 4.7-inch barrel. All right. Then Germany. Remember how Germany standardized on the 4-inch barrel Luger? They must have had some issue with it. I don't know what it would be, but they must have had something that they didn't particularly enjoy regarding the 4-inch barrel Luger, because, well, specifically in regards to barrel length, because now Lugers were expensive to make, they're expensive to machine and stuff. So, in World War II, the P-38 comes along. The P-38 is really just better than a Luger in every way. It's cheaper to make, and it also, a big thing, is, it is also double action. Meaning that you can draw and fire it, you don't have to turn a safety off or anything. But the weird thing with the P-38 is that it has a 5-inch barrel. And I don't know why it does. Now, if we look at the... they just want a little bit more sight radius and velocity. You don't get much from a 5-inch barrel. So it's like, I don't know why they did it. And like I said, that's something I really would like to... Like, I want to find the piece of paper written by a man in Germany in 1935 where he writes down, yeah, we did a test, and in that test we found out that we are looking for this specific... We want the gun to do this specific thing. And the best way it can do that thing is if we make our 9mm have 5-inch barrels instead of 4-inch barrels. I want to find, like, the document that says that. Because it's got to be out there. Well, because why else would they... Somebody told someone, make the barrels 5 inches. And I want to know why that person said that thing. But the... this kind of opens a horror show of the 9mm barrel length, which is what barrel length is the best. So, like, what is the perfect 9mm barrel length? Is it 4 inches? 5 inches? Or maybe, where is that shot coming from? Or maybe some Goldilocks in between. And if you look at every major 9mm user of the 20th century, they've all got different takes. So, let's look at a few of them. Immediately after World War II, 3 9mm kind of come to mind. One is the Swiss M49, which would later become the SIG P210, which is considered like one of the nicest. It might be like the most accurate, like just like military 9mm. I think it is the most expensive handgun issued as a standard like arm. Like they are incredibly expensive to produce, but Switzerland just like went hard on them. Then there is, and those I think have a like a 4.7-ish barrel length. So again, we're talking like Browning high power kind of length. Then we go to let's see. We go to who would be next? I guess next is kind of an in-between of America and yeah, I guess next to America would be next. So America says that the 1911 is too big and heavy for officers. Officers need a gun, but they don't need a combat gun. They need a gun that can they can just kind of carry on their hip, you know, to show as a sign of authority, like not like guys who are like really in the field, but guys who, you know, it still needs to work, but like it doesn't need to be like they're not diving into trenches with it. So they put out a couple of requirements. And it basically, the gun has to be lightweight, and it has to shoot 9mm. Those are the requirements. The two main guns that come into this trial are the Colt Commander, which is a very nice 1911. Look at that Spec Ops door breach we just did there. With that other teammate, we just like kicked open the door and just took out two guys like instantly. Yeah, the Colt Commander is a 1911 with chambered at 9mm, with a very nice hammer, with an aluminum frame, but the barrel has been shortened to 4.25 inches. Bizarre. Why the 0.25? I, again, do not know. Is it something with the action? Maybe. I know later in the 1980s, 1911s would be shortened to have 3.5-inch barrels, and those would have some reliability issues. So maybe at the time, a 4-inch barrel wasn't long enough for the action, so they had to go to a 4.25, and that was the shortest they could get it to reliably cycle. I really don't know. I'm getting overheated, so I'm going to take my robe off. One moment. Stretch. But yeah, I am not positive as to why this, like, why this extra quarter of an inch is added to the barrel. Or I guess you could say, I'm not sure why, 3/4 of an inch were removed instead of 1 inch. The next, the next thing is, the other competitor in that contest, which is the, Smith & Wesson Model 59. Not 59, 39. The 59 is a different gun. The 59 is a modified double stack version of the 39. But the 39 is kind of an American Walther P38. It's Smith & Wesson basically looking at it's basically a the controls and like layout of a P38 kind of shaped kind of like a 1911 by Smith & Wesson, but 4-inch barrel. This is probably the best American handgun of the post-war era. 4-inch barrel, 9mm double action aluminum frame, made by Smith & Wesson. It's a very good gun. I wish it appeared in movies more and like games. If you remember the ASP from Black Ops 1, the ASP is a custom modified version of the Smith & Wesson Model 39 that had like, it was specifically made to have like make it basically small enough to like fit in a pocket. But the going with the bayonet. The what was I gonna say? The at the same time as well, while Smith & Wesson would basically just make a Smith & Wessonized version of the P38, Beretta would do a very weird thing, where Beretta would make the Beretta 1951, which when you look at it today, you're like, oh, is that an M9? But it's not, if you look at it for like 2 more seconds. It is the like M9's like father, to where it is basically a single action only, so no double action, version of the P38 that has a full slide. Do you know the P38 has that weird thing going on where like the slide stops and then the barrel keeps going? It's basically they turned the P38 into a more conventional layout, but took away the double action, but kept the length. Where the Smith & Wesson got rid of some length. This pistol would evolve into the M9. Yeah, to where like the Beretta 92 is bizarrely like kind of a P38 perfected. It's basically a P38 that has been that has had the slide extended to envelop the barrel and has been made to take double stack magazines. But it has a 5-inch barrel, and this isn't something that people really think about But there is the kind of trend. We get into a thing in the 1990s. In the 1970s, which is the Wonder Nines, they are called. Which is, everyone kind of realizes, hey, wait a minute. There's a couple of things going on here. The Browning High Power has a double stack magazine, right? So you can fit like 14 rounds about. The P38 has a double action trigger. That's pretty good. And and then everyone starts liking these different like Browning actions and whatnot. So everyone starts thinking, wait a minute. What if we make what if we take the best parts of these guns, right? And we put them all together. So what we get is a double action. So you don't need to use a safety, so you can draw it and fire it like a revolver with a double stack magazine pistol. So it holds like 15 rounds. The first like major one of these is Smith & Wesson they take their Model 39 with its 4-inch barrel, and they basically modify it to use magazines that are similar to Browning High Power, but not exactly, but you know, like based on. And this is the Model 59, which when it came out, maybe the best handgun in the world, but very quickly eclipsed. It's one of those situations where it's like, oh yeah, it was great. It was like the best option for like a year, and then something else beat it. So that is, we're talking with that, the Model 15, that's like a 15-shot capacity with a 4-inch barrel, which is what the Glock 19 is. The Glock 19, which is like the standard, is a 15-shot 9mm with a 4-inch barrel. So you're getting like on paper performance in 1970. Now this is, of course, isn't there's other things at play here, but we're talking just sending rounds down range at speed. Then through the 70s, we get a lot more of these Wonder Nines. We get the Beretta 92, to where Beretta fully commits. They just take their Model 51, and then they just fully commit to the P38 style. They make it double action, and they make it have a double stack magazine. CZ makes a CZ75, which is a double action version of basically that Swiss pistol I had mentioned before. Because they have a weird thing with the slide going on, but that's a different topic for another day. What else was at that time? There's a couple other ones that don't really matter much to us these days, like the Sire GB and like stuff like that. Like main kind of gun, and then there's the Taurus that I talked about earlier, the Taurus 92, which is kind of the modified copy of the Beretta 92. Now a big thing with all these is, of course, like people think of these and then they just think of like their like military use, but or police use. But then it also it's kind of hard to get them as civilians sometimes when they initially come out, to where you can check the availability pretty much by a good way is there was an old magazine called Gun Digest. I say magazine, but they're like the size like a phone book. You can find them very cheap on eBay now, and they would print every year. They would print what guns were available to buy on the U.S. market in that year, and how much they cost, and like what their stats were basically. So I have one from 1975. And it's like, yeah, it just tells you, like, in 1975, here's what you could buy. So I want to get one from 75, 80, 85, 90, and 95 altogether. So I can have kind of like a good evolution of the arms market in those years. But like, there's also a weird subsect of like I said, kind of the Wonder Nines of this era, called the Munich 3 or the Munich Trio, because when the Munich massacre happened, like everyone was like, we need actual like good military like setups, and they were like the P-38 for like SWAT teams essentially, well, like a proto SWAT team, and the Walther PP, not the best for you know, dealing with guys that have like AKs. So you'd get a weird kind of like, well, they're not really weird for the time. They make sense as like police weapons, especially of European police weapons, to where these are kind of the equivalent. They fill the same niche as what American police with revolvers did at the same time, where there's the Munich Trio, which is all these classic Swiss German gun companies get together and try to make a 4-inch barrel single stack, so only like 8 rounds, double action 9mm. Walther does that by making the P5. All these get a designation because of the way that German military, to where the P-38 became the P1 and like all of that kind of stuff, to where the P5 is the Walther P5, which is basically a 4-inch P-38 that has a slide, that a very streamlined, cool looking slide that envelops the barrel. The P6 is the Sega P225, just in service, called the P6, which is again about an 8-shot 4-inch barrel. Now these are like, you look at that and you look at a SIG P6 and you're like, wow, maybe the best carry pistol of of this time, like the best pistol for like just like you as a civilian. I want a nice little handgun. You look at a SIG P6 and you're like, that's great. I kind of love that. 1975, you say? Amazing. But then you look in your Firearms of the World and your Gun Digests, and you'll find they actually did not make it to the civilian market Until about 1985, about 10 years after their invention. And by 1985, there might, well, maybe not by 85, but definitely by the late 90s, there were definitely other options. So the what's it called? Like, what would you say? This kind of, oh yeah, and then the P7 is a very weird one. It's an HK pistol, that has like an insane cocking mechanism and is very expensive. These guns all also kind of solidify that, okay, a 9mm 4-inch barrel. But some of these are shorter versions of other guns that, this is where we get into the weird kind of territory. Where if we look at the Wonder 9s of this era, Glock, the full-sized ones, Glock 17, 4.5-inch barrel, SIG P226, I'm just dropping grenades here if I can. Alright, SIG P226, 4.4-inch barrel, I think. CZ75, CZ75, 4.7-inch barrel. Like I said, Browning High Power is still of the same era. 4.7-inch barrel. All the way coming to where... the weird thing about the Beretta is we don't think of the Beretta 92 as big. But it is, in comparison. It has, like, it's not bigger than, like, a 1911. But, of its contemporaries, it is bigger. I think the SIG is taller. But the Beretta 92 is definitely longer. It is longer by about half an inch than, like I said, like it's about like a quarter of an inch of like the Browning High Power and like the CC75. But it is longer by about a half inch than the Glock 17 and the just trying to get this shot. The Glock 17 and the P226, and then it is a full inch longer than like the Smith & Wesson like 59 and stuff like that. So it's, and nothing is really as long as the Beretta. There aren't really any other, except for the Taurus, which, like I said, is just taking the Beretta's form. Yeah, so like it's weird to like kind of look at this and you see on paper, you're like, okay, so starting in the 70s is where this debate, well, I guess technically starting sometime in Germany in the 1930s, there's a discussion saying what is better, a 4-inch barrel or a 9-inch barrel. Not a 9-inch or a 5-inch barrel. So we get into all this discussion that is still today, most people just kind of go with a 4-inch barrel, right? But they will then be like, okay, but what if we did have a little bit of a longer barrel? So like let's talk Glocks, right? Glocks are an easy position to talk from. As barrel length wise, if we're talking 9mm Glocks, There are technically 5 of them. But we really are only concerned with, like, why am I missing, like, every shot on this guy? Oh, there we go. Well, so there's the 26. The 26 is a 3.5-inch barrel and a 10-shot frame, right? So enough, like, so it holds 10, it's long enough to hold 10 bullets, which means that you can get, like, 2 of your fingers on it and then your pinky dangles off the bottom. The next is the Glock 19, which has a 4-inch barrel, and a 15-shot frame. This is kind of considered perfect by many people. It could be, or not, maybe not perfect, but definitely Goldilocks, you know, like, it's kind of right in the middle. Now, what you get into the other discussion, like, how would we go? Yeah, so, like, I'm trying to think of the way to best, kind of explain this through. So, yeah, so the 19 has a 4-inch slide and a 15-round magazine. The 17 has a 4.5-inch slide and a 17-round magazine. The 34 has, this is where the names are about to get a little weird in a second. The 34 has the same frame, so a 17-round frame with a 5-inch barrel. It's actually like a 5.2-inch barrel, but we'll just call it 5. And then the 17L, it's like a kind of a hangover from when Glock had weird older names. It's just called the 17L. It doesn't have its own number. The 17L, same frame as the 17 and the 19, what's it called? The 17 and 34. But, it has a 6-inch barrel. Now, there is also another weird one, which is 2 new kind of weird ones. The Glock 45. Now, what the Glock 45 is the 17 frame with a 4-inch barrel. So, it is the 17 with a Glock 19 barrel. Which sounds like it sounds much simpler than it is on paper. What it actually is a Glock 19 frame that has been extended to accept 17-round magazines, that then has the slide internals of a Glock 19 on a 17-inch slide. Well, that uses a Glock. So it's basically, it's a Glock 19 frame lengthened to take 17 mags. What is interesting about that is there's also a gun called the Glock 48. Well, no, the Glock 47. Now, what's weird about the Glock 47 is that the Glock 47 on paper is a Glock 17. It is a 4.5-inch barrel with a 17-round magazine, but it's using 19 internals to get a layout of the 17, right? So you get like a weird kind of situation where the 17 kind of doesn't have a reason to exist anymore. You can just like, if you have because now there are 2 frame sizes and there are 2 slide sizes. And these can kind of work. Like, if you have the 19 frame, and the 45 frame. Well, and the 47 frame, we'll say. And then you have the 19 slide, and then the 45 slide, the 47 slide. You can now mix and match these to get the perfect Glock that you want. Do you want the big grip with the short barrel? Do you want the short barrel with the big grip? You have whatever you want, you know? There's a lot going on, right? That you can kind of mix and match parts, make your own Frankenstein Glock. And now people do this, to where, like, what's the best Glock for concealed carry? And you have to get into all these different little discussions. Talking about, like, trying to really, like, with the barrel length discussion, is 4 inches is enough, but do you want the extra? If you go to 5 inches, does 5 inches add, and 5 inches will add weight to the gun that you are carrying, but is it enough weight to matter? It will also add sight radius and velocity, but is it enough sight radius and velocity to matter? To where it's like, is a 1/2 inch of velocity and a 1/2 inch of sight radius better than a 1/2 inch of weight? And also, and if not, let's say it is, right? Let's say it is better to have a 17 slide on a 19 frame. Okay. Well, what about a 34 slide on a 19 frame? Is it so a 5-inch barrel with a compact grip? Is that enough? Does that weigh? Is that extra 1/2 inch enough of a difference to where? Yeah, it's like you get into this point to where you're like, okay, one of these is like, yeah, you like I said, it's kind of, it's almost like a Goldilocks where it's like, okay, people say 4 inches is enough, right? But is 4.5 inches too much? If it isn't too much, then is 5 inches too much? If that isn't too much, then is 6 inches too much? And it's like trying to figure that out, to figure out kind of the perfect frame size. Looked at my client timeout. I guess I did? I don't know. That was weird. Let's rejoin that match. Yeah, let's see, where's assault? I almost have that, let's see. Oh boy, a trench mace, but I need those grenade kills. Bleed out 4 times slower. Oh, that's what I needed, yeah, the grenade crate. I need one more. But the, yeah, so there's still this debate to where it's like, it's kind of understood, yeah, over 5 inches, that's getting a bit much. Oh my god. So, and maybe even 5 inches, that might be a bit much. Does 5 inches really give you, Like, oh my god, that was so loud in my ears just now. That machine gun. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff of like, is 5 inches? So we know 5 inches is better than 3.5. But is 3.5 really better than 4? If no, then it is 4.5 better than 3.5? So it's like C is better than A performance-wise, but it also has a lot of downsides. But is B better than A? Or are the downsides of B better than the upsides of A? And it's like trying to figure out this kind of just like, how do you min-max this? Like, or how do you balance this? Like, it's a thing that like a lot of, like, people also like 3D printing these frames to get like, if you wanted, like, a Beretta 92 size Glock, you'd have to go with the 34. But it's like, so what if you want a Beretta 92 size Glock with a 19 sized grip? So a compact grip, but a standard 92 size slide. Because you could say, I want a military length slide in, like, a compact police sized grip. But that means different things for the different military slides you're talking about. A Glock military slide is the 3.5, is the 4.5, the 17. A Beretta military slide is the 5-inch barrel, which is Glock's 34. So a 34 on a people will call a 17 slide on a 19 frame. People will call that the 19L, or like 19 long. But then the, yeah, this is so bad right now. We are just like, the, yeah, the, so people, because the 17 slide on the 19 frame is the L, people will call the, 34 slide on the 19 frame, which is very uncommon. Not a lot of people do this. They'll call that the 19XL. But like, I see that and I'm like, I kind of want that because of the how bizarre it is, you know? Like that, like, I mean, ideally, I kind of love the idea of going back all the way to a layout that Colt adopted in like the early 1900s with the Colt 1902, which is the 1902 sporting model, which has a compact height but a 6-inch barrel. So that that is a 17L slide on a 19 length frame. Which I would love to have that, but that would be a bit more expensive because they're kind of having to get a 17L. But there's another thing of where, like, that whole thing that I mentioned before about sight radius. A lot of people today use red dots on pistols. And to where it's like, okay, well, is sight radius even that big of an issue when, like, it really isn't when you have a red dot on your pistol. So at that point, maybe just carry the shorter slide. So, and there's also stuff of like the Glock 19 grip is like, it's good, but it's kind of like, it fits really well, but the 17 slide's just a little bit bigger to give you a little bit more control. But like when you're carrying a handgun, the barrel length doesn't matter as much as the grip length. But if you carry in front of your body, like concealed by your appendix, then you can actually kind of get away with a longer grip there. So it's like, can you just full on carry 34 concealed and not even have to worry about all those hybrids? Just go long in both directions? Maybe, and not even have to worry about this hybrids. Just go as big as you can, and it's like, that legit might be fine. Who knows? I think I have my grenade challenge complete. Let's see. Where's my challenges? Is it here? No. Where do I... Is it here? No. Where do I get those at? Did I just complete them all for assault so far? Maybe. If that's the case, well then I will, It's a trench club time. See how this works. I probably, I have to get in pretty close range to use it, so... Not the best, but... But yeah, so basically, all this discussion and history and stuff has all been kind of going with, the questions of... What 9mm, barrel length is really kind of the best to land on. And there really is a few yeah, it really is kind of weird to where I kind of like just kind of going with a 34 almost. Now obviously this is all just on paper. For all I know, my hands are kind of above average in size. For all I know, if I go to a gun store right now and pick up I could on paper be like, Glock 19 with a 34 slide, perfect. And then I go and pick up a Glock 19 and it just feels too small in my hands. I'll be like, oh, well in that case, yeah, I'll just get a normal normal 34. Oh, but then I might be like, oh, the 34 on paper should be concealable, but then in practice, actually not really. Bigger than I thought it would be. So yeah, this is all kind of it's all like theory crafting right now because, I don't have a bunch of different Glocks. Now, ideally, a 19 slide, and then getting maybe like a 17L slide or like a 34 slide, and putting those on, and then you can just swap the slides so you have your carry slide, and then you have your holster duty slide. Is a potential thing you can do, to where you just literally swap the slides depending on what you need them for. So it's definitely a thing that needs experimentation, which I would love to do if I was in a state where that could be done, and I had a budget to do it. I know recently there was a nice YouTube video by the channel TFB TV. Trench Club time! Where it's a video just on the Glock 48. No, the 48, the 47, where they put a 47 slide on a 19 frame. And they mix and match and stuff. And but the 19 slide that they were using had a compensator, so that maybe helped with like control. Let's see, just going through here. Already out of stamina at the worst point. But SIG actually makes their gun, the P320, is a weird thing to where you can change out the grips. Where it's like, you can change out the grips, where it's like, yeah, so it's like, oh, you know, just depending on what you're doing, you can just swap the slide and the grips or whatever. But let's see, progression. Let's see. Though, I think that was probably my last game. We just hit the 3-hour mark, as I said that pretty much. And, you know, it's about noon, so I'll go do other stuff in the day. Surely the Discord's been fine with no Kiara. I'm sure everything has been okay there. So I'm gonna head back in there and make sure, just double check on them, make sure everything's doing fine there. But thanks for coming out, folks. I had some fun. I'll probably keep streaming Isonzo. I enjoy this quite a bit, and it's perfect for tangenting. So yeah, I'll probably do that again, depending on, you know, Kiara's schedule and whatnot. But thanks for tuning in, those who did. I guess I'll say finally Otsu lunch. Alright, see ya.